Okay, welcome to the second hole for the third of our lesson lockdown tips. And we brought you all over here today to show you how to play the shot from Granny's Corner. Now, the area known as Granny's Corner, as most of you are aware, is the left-hand side of the green here, this sort of flat collection area. And we're all familiar with this position. Even myself, if I miss the green just a little bit to the left, the ball will roll down the hill and collect down into this area. And sometimes it's not that bad a shot, but you just miss the green to the left. Some of you will play more of a low shot and run it up into here, but we've all had shots from down here. And really there's sort of three ways to play this shot. The simple one is just hit it along the ground into the middle of the green. The second one is to play a chip and run shot, where you chip with a fairly low lofted club and you just run the ball up the hill onto the green. And then the third one is the shot where you hit a chip shot or a pitch shot and you fly the ball all the way onto the green. So the advantage of the last shot is that we don't have to worry about the slope on the ground. And the disadvantage of putting is that you have to allow for these slopes that are on the ground. Now, I just want to highlight today some of the things that I've seen when I play with members around here. This shot from down here, when we hit the high shot, it's actually quite a difficult shot. And one of the main reasons it's a difficult shot is well, it's a reason that I believe that a lot of members probably aren't aware of or don't understand. And it's to do with the grass. And the grass we have here on the fairways at Sorrento is called a couch grass. It's called Santarana couch. Americans call it Bermuda grass. And that grass is what we call a creeping grass. It will grow in a certain direction, and often it will grow down a slope, sometimes towards border. But in this situation here, all the area around here, the grass grows back towards the tee. So you'll see here that if I take the club here and I drag it along the ground, you're going to see that and I go back towards the green, that the grass is going to really I guess stand up, and the club will jag against the grass. And this is what it looks like. So take the club, drag it along here. Again. Alright, and you can see that really quite obviously is the grass is standing up and it's catching on the club. Now if I do the same thing the other direction, now we go along here and it's as smooth as silk because I'm dragging the club with the grain. Now quickly, I think probably most of you are going to be able to work out now already why this is a problem. If I'm hitting a shot in that direction and I catch the ground just a little bit behind the ball, because I'm going with the grain, you'll see here when I hit the ground, there's no divot. Now, if I go in the other direction, and when I hit the ground now, they're completely different. Exactly the same shot, but one's got a massive divot, one has no divot. So the reason that playing this shot up onto the green is difficult is that when I'm into the grain, like we are here on all of these positions around here, if I catch the ground just a tiny bit behind the ball, I'm going to hit a shot which is known as the chili dip or the stub or a fat shot. If I demonstrate one here, if I catch the ground just a fraction behind the ball, I do that one there. If you do it really badly, some people have been known to actually do it and then flop the divot over on top of the ball. That's pretty advanced to be able to do that, but we don't want that. But we've all had that shot before. All right. Now most of you wouldn't be aware that it's probably because you're hitting into the grain. So how do we counter that? In my opinion, the simplest way for probably 80% of member golfers in this situation is you just hit your putter. Just pull the putter out, hit it onto the green, Hopefully you'll take one putt, maybe two, and off you go to the next hole. One of the main things that destroys the average golfer's scorecard is when you take multiple shots to get the ball onto the green when you're only like 20 meters away. It's a real waste of shots. You should never do that. So we have to avoid taking two or more chips. And the simplest way here is just, with the grain, just pull the putter out. You can do it with the rescue club too if you like, and just hit it along the ground and get it on the green. That's my main piece of advice here. However, if you feel like you're a good chipper and you've got a good command over controlling where the club hits the ground, the way that we can play this shot here is that we have to make sure that we hit the ball just before we hit the ground. Now, there's two ways we can do that. The first one is to simply, you just set up to the ball, take your normal setup for this shot, and then we just add maybe about 20% or 15% of weight over to the left leg, like this. So my body starts to look a little bit like the Tower of Pisa. I'm sort of leaning to the left here a little bit. And what that's going to do is, as I lean to the left, it's going to make it more likely that the club's going to actually hit the ground a little bit more to the left, and hopefully just after you hit the ball. So we set up, weight to the left just a little bit here, and that's a pretty good shot. A little bit lower than what I'd normally hit it, and that's because as I lean forward, when the shaft leans forward, it de-lofts the club a little bit, but that was a pretty good shot. And the second way of doing it, if you don't like setting up with the weight way forward, this one is probably a little bit more complex, but this is the way that the very well-known and probably the best short game who's ever lived, Seve Ballesteros. If you watch some of Seve's short game shots, you'll notice that quite often when he came in his downswing, he had a very little transference of weight. He sort of just moved slightly forward like this, and that's just to make sure that he caught the ball first. All right, it's a very subtle move, and it probably takes a fair bit of skill to do this, but some people will prefer this method. So we just set up your normal weight distribution, and as you come into the ball, you just have a very slight transference of weight, and that should be just enough that we catch the ball before we hit the ground. And hopefully I can demonstrate, not as good as Seve, but I'll have a go. So we start with even weight and a slight weight transfer, and that was pretty good. So they're my thoughts about Granny's Corner. I hope that's helped you, and you can try that when we come back to golf, hopefully in a few weeks' time. And I look forward to seeing you on the next tip, which will be over on the 14th hole. Thanks for listening.